They tried to poison him. It didn't work. They shot him in the heart. He survived. Then they shot him 3 more times. Still wouldn't die. So they beat him with a club, wrapped him in a carpet and threw him into the frozen river. 3 days later, when they pulled him out, the autopsy revealed he was still alive when he hit the water. It took 5 murder methods to kill 1 man, and it all started with a beard. His name was Grigory Rasputin, and that beard wasn't just facial hair, it was a weapon. In early 1900s Russia, peasants believed that holy men didn't groom themselves. A trimmed beard meant vanity, pride, sin. But a beard like Rasputin's, matted, unwashed, reached down to his chest, that was proof of a divine connection, and Rasputin knew exactly how to use it. He'd walk into the imperial palace, this filthy Siberian peasant with dirt under his nails and that wild beard, and strolled past Russia's most powerful nobles like they didn't exist. Because he had something none of them did, access to the Tsarina. Her son, Alexei, had haemophilia. 1 bruise, 1 fall, and the heir to the Russian throne could bleed to death. The royal doctors were useless. But somehow, when Rasputin prayed over the boy, the bleeding stopped. Was it hypnosis? Luck? Divine intervention? Nobody knew. But the Tsarina was convinced this bearded mystic was the only thing keeping her son alive. And that gave Rasputin terrifying power. He influenced military appointments, political decisions. He'd show up drunk to parties, beard stained with wine, bragging about his power over the royal family. Russia was losing World War I. The people were starving. The empire was collapsing. And this unwashed peasant seemed to control the throne. By December 1916, the Russian nobles had decided Rasputin had to die. No arrest, no exile. Dead. They invited him to the palace under the pretense of meeting a beautiful woman. He arrived just after midnight, beard freshly combed for the occasion. He had no idea he just walked into an execution. Now this is a version we've all heard for over a century, but when you see what the autopsy actually found, you'll understand why some historians think the actual story was much darker. Stay with me. The mastermind was Prince Felix Yusupov, one of the richest men in Russia. He'd spent weeks planning this. The poison, potassium cyanide, enough to kill 5 men instantly. He had it baked into cakes and dissolved in wine. Rasputin arrived around 12:30 a.m. Yusupov led him downstairs. He said they'd wait for his wife. The room looked innocent. Cakes on silver platters, wine in crystal glasses. Rasputin sat down hungry. He ate 1 cake, nothing. Drank a glass of wine, nothing. Yusupov watched, panicking, as Rasputin ate a 2nd cake, then a 3rd. He even complained they were too sweet and asked for more wine. 2 hours passed. Rasputin was fine, singing folk songs, asking where his woman was. The poison that should have killed him in minutes didn't even make him sick. Upstairs, conspirators started to panic. Vladimir Pereshkivich told Yusupov, if the poison don't work, use a gun. Yusupov went back downstairs. Rasputin was admiring a crystal cross on the wall. His back turned. Yusupov pulled out the revolver. Point blank range, Yusupov aimed for Rasputin's heart, pulled the trigger. The sound was deafening in the basement. Rasputin collapsed onto a white bearskin rug, blood spreading across his shirt. Yusupov ran upstairs. I got him dead. The others came down to confirm. Eyes closed, no pulse. They covered him and went back up to celebrate. But Yusupov couldn't resist. He went back down, alone, just to look. He bent over the body. Then Rasputin's left eye opened, then his right. Yusupov froze. Rasputin's eyes were full of rage. He lunged, grabbed Yusupov by the throat and started strangling him. Yusupov broke free and ran upstairs. And behind him, he heard Rasputin crawling, clawing his way after him. The man who'd been shot through the heart was chasing his assassin through the palace. Rasputin burst into the courtyard, bleeding, staggering, freezing. Snow everywhere. He crawled towards the gate, leaving a trail of blood, shouting, I'll tell the Tsarina everything. Pereshkivich heard the screaming, grabbed his revolver and ran outside. He fired, missed, fired again, hit Rasputin in the back. Rasputin collapsed, face down into the snow, his beard frozen stiff with blood and ice. Pereshkivich walked closer and fired another shot, straight into Rasputin's head. Finally, silence. They dragged the body back inside. Checked for a pulse, nothing. Breathing, nothing. This time he was dead, but they weren't taking chances. They beat him with a rubber club, wrapped him in a curtain, then a carpet, and bound it with rope. At 4:50 a.m, they drove to Petrovsky Bridge, opened a hole in the ice, and threw Rasputin into the frozen Neva River. Finally, Rasputin was gone, except they made one mistake. When they dumped him, one of Rasputin's boots fell off and landed on the ice. A police patrol found it the next morning. 3 days later, divers pulled Rasputin's body from the river, still wrapped in a carpet, hands tied, face destroyed, and that famous beard frozen solid. The authorities ordered an autopsy. They needed to know exactly how he died. What they found still haunts historians. Rasputin's lungs were full of water, which meant he'd still been alive when he hit the river. The poison didn't kill him, the bullets didn't kill him, the beating didn't kill him. After everything, the cyanide, the shots, the beating, Grigory Rasputin drowned in the frozen river. It took 5 different murder attempts over 4 hours to finally end his life. That's the legend we've all heard. But here's what the autopsy actually said. Professor Dmitry Kosaratov performed the autopsy on the 2nd of January 1917. His report was buried for decades because it completely contradicted everything the conspirators had said. First, poison. Kosaratov found 0 cyanide in Rasputin's stomach. None. Either Yusupov had lied about using it or had been sold some fake poison. The whole unkillable mystic survived in cyanide story, total invention. Second, the drowning. Rasputin's lungs were empty. No water. He was already dead before he hit the river, killed by that final shot to the forehead fired at close range. The timeline proves it. Rigor mortis had already begun 10 to 20 minutes before they dumped his body. Third, the bullets. 3 shots, not 4. Chest, back, forehead. The fatal one, the forehead shot. Likely fired by British agent Oswald Rayner, who was there that night, but conveniently left out of Yusupov's memoir. So why did the myth survive? Because it sold. Yusupov wrote his memoirs 12 years later. Broke, disgraced, and desperate for attention. A simple execution wouldn't sell. But a supernatural mystic who refused to die, that would. They turned a messy assassination into a legend, and we've been repeating it ever since. Here's what's really actually terrifying. It's not that Rasputin was unkillable, it's that his prophecy came true. In a letter to the Tsarina, written weeks before his death, he predicted, "If I am killed by nobles, the Russian Empire will fall within 2 years." He was killed by nobles on December the 30th, 1916. 73 days later, the Russian Revolution began. The Tsar abdicated. The Romanovs, including Alexei, the boy that Rasputin had been keeping alive, were executed in July 1918. The 300-year-old empire collapsed exactly as he had said. In March 1917, soldiers dug up Rasputin's coffin and burnt it. They wanted to erase him completely. Some say his skull survived, others say his brain was preserved by Soviet scientists. Nobody knows for sure. What we do know is this: the myth made him supernatural. The truth made him dangerous. That beard, that influence, that prophecy, those were real. The poison, the drowning, just pure Hollywood. Some say his ghost still haunts the Neva River. But maybe the real haunting part is this: we choose the legend over the truth. And maybe that's exactly what Rasputin wanted.